anybody's here, I can see it all, right?
Well, I can see Jeff and Perry, yep, and the mayor.
Oh, I'm in the huge seat.
You can come sit up here. Are you protecting you or us?
I'm protecting you.
All right, stay back there. I do have 5:30 minutes there.
Okay. All right. I think Myrna was going to join us too, and maybe Angela. But with that, let's just call the meeting to order. And I guess, let's see, I'm not ready to do a roll call. We let the meeting minutes reflect that we have Perry, Jeff, Joanne, and myself. We don't have Jeremy or Marcy right now, or Midge. Okay, so I don't think that Jeremy sent us minutes, did he? I did not see them if he did.
No.
If you've only got 3 of 6, that's not a quorum, or is it I think it's...
We've got 4.
We have 4 of 7.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so we can't approve the minutes. Hi, Angela. So I guess our main order of business is item 4, new business. And what we were tasked to do, oh, Kate is here, that's great. Hi, Kate, we're just, we're missing Jeremy and Midge and Marcy right now, but we do have a quorum. So our vision for this meeting was to have a whiteboard discussion of results, scratch out some of the possibilities, but I don't feel like we're ready to do that right now. We gave our comments to Blake, and we haven't gotten back his revisions yet. And we had Kate's document, and we didn't really have any revisions, so I don't feel like we're ready to do this, but I'll open it up for discussion. Does anybody have any thoughts on this agenda item?
I don't have any new thoughts. Does anybody
Do
else
we have
have
any
any?
thoughts about next steps? I mean, what we want to do next, or?
Well, I actually kind of do, Joanne. I was thinking we could hear from Angela and Myrna. I think Angela was going to look into getting some housing data, and that would be useful to some of our work. And maybe Myrna has something, and maybe Kate has something. So I guess whoever wants to comment, we'd love to hear from you. As far as meeting next steps. Great.
If you want me to.
Angela. Please.
Sure. So I actually Brad and I had a meeting today with Wendy Sullivan with WSW Consulting, who worked on the Big Sky Housing Trust community assessment needs study they did. I believe it was 2018, and then they did a update in 2023. And I think they're working through another update now. And we had a great conversation today about how we could possibly move forward with our CDBG grant that we're paired up with the City of Red Lodge. In fact, I sent Mayor Westwood and Joanna email to see if they could join us on a meeting on Friday. So that's where we are on that. We kind of, it was kind of exciting because she was actually pretty surprised that the foundation has a housing, has taken on the housing part of it. She hasn't really seen that before. So we'll have more about that after Friday's meeting. She is super busy, so she wasn't able to actually take on that study by herself this year. She did say that she would be willing to help with another firm, help us get that going again. And we just kind of focused on, you know, just kind of the needs, like what we had discussed in our last meeting. So, you know, what we have now and what we need, and the AMI and the number of units and the number of bedrooms and all of that. And the workforce housing, we had a steering committee on the 25th, and I just sent the summary of that out, I believe, last Thursday or Friday. So the folks that attend those meetings, I attached that housing study as well as the update for the workforce part of it. So those, that update, it's 13 pages, and it was very specific. And the thing that Wendy mentioned today was that it would be very, very important to have employers of our community be very involved in doing a survey for the workforce housing folks. And so we would definitely want to do an outreach to them and get them very much involved. So we are really getting the specific information, like the specific, you know, what they make and what they can afford and what they need and all of that, because, you know, it's really the current information we're going to get is from our community itself. And so we just really need them to be on board. So that's, that just happened today at 3:00. So, we're super excited about that. And I feel like that piece, we could, you know, once we had that, we could provide that to, you know, be a part of that, of your study, or an addendum or something. But I feel that that's what we could contribute to.
Well, that's huge, Angela. So you're looking at, so this person can't do it, but they might be able to collaborate with another contractor.
Yes, and actually it is somebody that apparently has worked with the city of Red Lodge already, out of Colorado. I think
Not,
economic and planning from Colorado. They worked with Fishing Terrell too. I wasn't aware of that firm working with the city of Red Lodge, but Myrna, I think they worked with Beartooth RC&D, didn't they?
Oh, I wondered if you were thinking of heirs.
Well, that's when I don't know. So anyway, so the meeting on Friday, that other team will be on that call as well. So we'll know more, but Wendy is happy to be a part of it if we feel that we want her to be part of it. So she just got done doing one, I believe, in let's see, where was it? It might have been Whitefish. But they've done a lot. And even though Red Lodge is a smaller scale, we are still facing the same problems.
Kate, it looks like, reading your body language, you might have something to contribute here.
Just that I'm aware of EPS. I've never worked with them directly.
Okay.
But they're based in Colorado, and they do that kind of work. So if you thought it was EPS, then that would make sense to me. Yeah.
That's it.
Kate, is there another firm that you know of, or Angela, are you good going with those folks? Maybe there's somebody else that would do a great job.
I can do some digging if you're looking for a consultant. If you're not, you know, I think that's really EPS's sort of bread and butter. I know people who kind of dabble in housing studies, but that's probably a great firm to go with.
Okay,
Cool.
we appreciate your input on that.
That is huge. Wow, great. Yeah. Okay, so you have a meeting next Friday. So you don't have any kind of a timeline yet, Angela. I'm guessing it's going to be a while.
Nope, I don't have a timeline, but she did, you know, talk to that firm, and they said that they could get it done. So, and like I said, she is willing to do a a bigger study, if that's something that the city and the foundation wants to take on at the, the first part of 2026, and this can just roll into that and be part of that. Which I would love to be able to do that. I just don't know that the foundation is able to fund all of that. But I feel like this could be a study that, is going to be used for a lot. It could be used for other developers and projects in our area. So, I don't know, but that's where we got. That's how far we got today.
Thank you. Angela, can I just have you clarify? So this would be a housing study, like a housing needs assessment
It would be, yeah, so it would be, the CDBG planning grant that we have that we put on hold. That's really what we're trying to, maybe swerve this back into, a housing needs basically, that just really is specific to, how many units behind we are, where we can, how many we need in the future, the AMIs, and I can send this out to you guys too, if to you, Tara, and then you can send it out to the board that you could just look at it.
Sure.
It's pretty, it's pretty specific. And so, she thought it was a good idea. She really felt that, a complete, housing study and needs assessment would be really, a good product too, but we don't really have the funding right now for that, and we don't really have the time to get that all done. But if we could get this piece of it done, and then maybe in 2026 roll into doing the full study, that would be a benefit for our community. So she asked, she asked some pretty detailed questions, really the partnerships we have, the engagement of the community, things like that, if our employers would, be interested in supporting that survey with their employees, which would be very important because that's really where the up-to-date information is. So yeah, it was a good call. It was, yeah.
Anybody have any questions or comments for Angela?
Yeah, is there sort of income levels that the study would assess the needs for, or what? I guess there are a little bit more specifics in terms of just what's all included in the housing needs assessment or a housing study.
Yeah, that's in this 13-page update. So once you get that, you'll probably be able to recognize that. But yeah, they start at 30% and go all the way up. That's what they did for Gallatin County. But for us, I think anywhere from looking at 30 all the way up to 120 is probably a good range for our workforce housing. I mean, I really don't think that too many of our workforce housing folks make even 80%. So, but we can, we can discuss that, that would be, it's kind of where we need to start is discussing really what we want to see.
I guess where I was coming from that question, Brad has often mentioned the gap between, I guess, what's affordable housing versus, and the criteria to meet those requirements versus those folks that are in sort of the $50,000 to $100,000 salary range, and of being able to find affordable housing. And I mean, I guess that is the intent to include that group of professionals?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, going up to 120 is definitely going to cover that, the majority of our folks, for sure. I mean, we're talking even 80%, for a family of four is like 77,700. Area median is 97,000. So we're definitely gonna include those. There's the CRO, from HB 819 that they're still trying to roll out. And I believe that goes up to 120 if I am not mistaken. So absolutely, you know, we want to be able to make this study cover all of those folks. So
Yeah, and
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that actually even goes up to 140%, Angela,
Okay.
the CRO. So it really is covering a wide range of needs. And this isn't really URA specific, but you know, I always like to see if we can kill two birds with one stone, if you will. Angela and I also had a very good meeting this morning with Granite Peak Environmental about possibly, you know, some options maybe with the old hospital. And even though that's not in the URA, it just got me thinking, oh, maybe because we'll have to do some community outreach for that, maybe that can also, you know, be something with this housing study where we are able to gather information for both things.
I agree.
Okay, thank you for that, Angela. Okay, so just to reframe us here, so we're looking at, our objective was to, we were talking about doing a whiteboard discussion of results, and what we might be moving forward. We don't know what our housing need is exactly. That limits our ability to make decisions on some of those options, so I guess, Kate, I'm just wondering if you have any recommendations for us, like what would you advise us to do next?
I think the housing needs analysis is a good step forward. You know, I think the need for housing is frankly explicit, and quantifying that so you can provide the correct mix of units and income levels, you know, that's great. I really think at this point, conversations with the development community, interested parties are probably a good thing to start initiating. So getting developers on board. I know you're not planning to do any property acquisition within the URD, but if you are able to negotiate with property owners on behalf of developers, or just anything you can do to kind of help grease the wheels there, in terms of planning approvals or just general facilitation between property owners and potential developers, I think that's going to be huge, because you could certainly get started on at least one housing project immediately. And, you know, the housing market study would kind of help inform future decisions. But from my perspective, I really don't think you need to wait to do any of that stuff until you have the housing study.
Yeah.
I have a question. You made a comment that sounded like land acquisitions were ruled out. Has that necessarily been, Tara,
Oh, no,
has that been ruled
sorry.
out, or
That was my recollection. I thought you guys weren't looking to acquire any property within the URD, but don't listen to me. You guys know better than I do what your plans are. So yeah, I mean, if you want to acquire some of that land, that's great. That would be super helpful. Totally up to you.
Were you thinking about the eminent domain question? We were definitely not in favor of that.
Oh, no, yeah, definitely not eminent domain. No, I guess I thought that you guys had said you didn't want to acquire any property in the URD, but I could just be misremembering.
I don't remember a
I
conversation.
think if either of the 2 big properties came tomorrow and said they were interested in selling those, we'd entertain it, I would think, or at least have a conversation about it.
Yeah, well, if you think that there's low hanging fruit, then I would encourage you to just go ahead and start picking it. It is harvest season after all.
The fruit's all on the ground is the problem.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Kate. Appreciate that.
Tara-
Any other
Tara?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, this is Perry. I mean, anything we can do to provide more information to someone who might be interested in developing is a plus. I mean, anyone who's going to come in and develop wants to do a needs analysis, you know, to assess whether the market's worth investing in. But as much as we can do, you know, can give them to facilitate that, I think is to our benefit, instead of putting all the homework in there on them, you know, so.
It was only a month ago that we met, but it feels like a really lot longer than that. I think
I know.
I've been a lot of places in the last month. So, but this conversation, now I'm remembering that we were talking about having a presentation, basically having some kind of a gathering with potential developers and having, seeing if we could have a presentation of the findings, and especially the drawings. The renderings were quite compelling. So I'm not in connection with any of those folks though, so I guess I would look to Myrna and Angela if that's something that you think would be. Is it too soon? Do you feel like you want to have a housing study before we do a gathering? Or is it even a gathering? Maybe it's individual. I don't know.
I was just gonna say, like, you know, if there's if there's other options that you can get, you know, housing need information, I mean, yes, by all means do that. I mean, we're just trying, you know, we're just doing what we can do at this point. So I would absolutely, if there's other opportunities, and I don't know if Blake, I think Blake mentioned that he had a few students maybe that were able to maybe do some type of that. I don't know. I'm not sure that I was even at the last meeting that we had, but anyway, so I mean, I'm just telling you what we're trying to do, but yeah, I mean, like Kate said, yeah, there's no better time than now to keep pushing forward with it. So, yeah.
And I want to be clear that I'm not recommending that you move forward with the housing feasibility study. I think that's an important thing to have. And as Perry mentioned, it is going to be a very useful tool and valuable tool in attracting development. But I would say if you have interest in development, don't wait for the housing study, move ahead.
Oh, yeah. But, go ahead. Dave has his hand up.
Oh, you're on mute, Tara.
Sorry, I was muted. Go ahead, Mayor Westwood.
I was just gonna say, I had received some feedback, and I would even go so far as quantify it as concerned feedback from folks who've gone in and watched the last URD meeting and wondering what the stage is where we need to get that present. My recollection is they were kind of working on some things and were gonna get us more of a presentation, but getting that information to council kind of before we put it out there as this is the view of the city,
Yes,
we need to make sure we have council's buy-off that this is the view of the city.
I agree.
So I'll just
Excellent.
offer that as we move forward.
Of course. Yeah,
It's always,
of course.
it's always best to take care of your detractors before they become so.
Well, Terrence Perry did. I think one of the stumbling blocks the last two meetings when we were talking about this with Blake is we're kind of at a loss. Do we look at low density, medium density, or higher density housing? You know what? And yes, we have to run this up, you know, upstairs. We have to have planning board and council buy-in on this, but I think, and we talked about narrowing it down, and I think that's kind of where, you know, maybe the 13 pages that Angela's gonna send out will be helpful here, but, you know, that's just a great unknown. Which of those options, you know, A, B, or C, do we go with, or a combination thereof, you know, so.
Yeah, I think we talked about at our last meeting, there were a few folks that said that the high density is probably overkill. I think that, was it Myrna? I think it was Angela for sure. So, but still,
Yeah,
yeah,
tall.
go ahead.
Well, that was, I believe, the recommendation of the work that KSU TAB did, that, you know, high density housing wasn't maybe necessarily going to be well received in Red Lodge. I think that even the community meetings, it was pretty clear that would not be, you know, anybody's first preference. So I thought it was more of a, like, maybe a mix of low and medium density. Again,
Yep.
my memory is that of a goldfish, so never know if I'm remembering correctly or not.
Thank you, Myrna.
That's how I remembered it, so.
Yeah, this is Jeff. I think, you know, before we present anything to planning board or city council, we ought to sort of narrow down those scenarios to what we actually think is feasible within the existing growth policy and city zoning. And because right now, you know, that high density is not consistent with city zoning.
No.
And I think it would be fair.
Or our growth policy for the community entrances.
I think it'd be fair if you make those presentations that you say, these things were also done, but we're not focusing in on them because we didn't feel, so that you don't get the feedback that says, you guys only told us what you wanted us to see or look at. Acknowledge those others, but say our efforts focused on these.
So maybe what we do we have a first meeting? I mean, I don't know when KSU TAB is going to tell us no, but I thought Blake's presentation was super compelling. And I mean, is it possible to have a joint, like an educational presentation to town council or city council and the planning board, a joint presentation? They can hear it straight from Blake, and maybe from there, then we have a second gathering with developers.
Yeah, I think that would
The other
probably be,
thing-
go ahead.
Well, the other thing I think we talked about was a presentation to the community as a whole,
Down the road,
to get their input and buy-in as well. I think that's important. It kind of basically a follow-up to the community outreach that was done previously, and presenting, here's what the findings are, and maybe get a gauge from the community in terms of what the community feels is acceptable or not acceptable, in addition to the council and planning board.
Yeah, so in our original scope of work, the plan was to, for Blake and his students to prepare these conceptual renderings of the area. And then to, you know, once you guys had a chance to provide feedback, share those with the community in an online format and do another survey and allow them to provide feedback on the survey concepts. I completely agree. I'm looking at the concept document over here. I'm honestly not sure why they proposed 5-story buildings, because I feel like that's way beyond what we ever discussed. And I maybe chalk that up to the students just being enthusiastic. Yeah, I think that it's not a problem to just flat out eliminate things that we don't think are going to be well received. And again, I don't live in Red Lodge, but I just don't see a 5-story building being well received even in conceptual form. So, you know, I think having a meeting with the city council and the Red Lodge URA is a very logical step to make sure that not only the URA board, but also the city council are on the same page regarding the future of this area. Obviously, you guys operating in a vacuum is, you're great and enthusiastic, but also, you have to have the city council on board to make this a reality. So I think that's a great idea. I know Blake is teaching a number of classes this semester, but I'm sure a virtual meeting could be arranged. I don't know his schedule off the top of my head. But I can talk to him and Maggie about picking some dates with, I assume, evening availability, if you guys could schedule a special session. Is there a particular day of the week that would have to be on?
Mayor, do you have feedback on that? I don't know what the schedule is. Like he's got it
I think it
memorized.
would depend on who your audience is. If it's with council, that limits you to the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month.
Okay,
And if it's council, then don't plan it on one of those days where you're drawing people away from council meetings.
Right.
Likewise, planning boards are the second and fourth Wednesdays of each month.
so we're really talking, I don't know if are you required to hold special meetings on Tuesdays? Or like a working session?
No, I'm just telling you the days that are already pre-assigned and,
Oh, got it.
and only available if you want to use them for that purpose. If you're not,
Got it.
then pick one of those days.
Yeah, so she's asking what days are good, Mayor?
And my question goes back to for which audience, because I heard 2 or 3 different ideas batted
Well,
around there.
it's for the city council and the URA to meet, to hear Blake present. So give us a couple good days.
My recommendation would be if it's going to be council, pick either the second or the fourth Tuesday, and we just put you on the agenda. And keep it, 15, 20 minutes. But I think that's probably in line with what Kate's thinking about.
I think we need,
If you're talking about a much longer meeting, then I would say let's go for a first or third Tuesday and just have it be a special meeting.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's what we need. First or third Tuesday.
Okay,
And the answer to the question is no, it does not have to be a Tuesday. But if I go out and look, that's kind of when council's kind of got it in their mind. Now, having said that, we have resort tax on one of those. So fourth Tuesdays tend to be open.
say that again, the what, Tuesday?
Fourth Tuesday of each month.
The space is often occupied, so,
Oh, the room is open.
yeah.
Okay, got it.
I thought we had talked about a public meeting, in-person public meeting at a previous URA meeting about sometime towards the end of the semester somewhere around there. And I'd have to look at the minutes again
Yeah.
to actually nail down what we had discussed, but I do
Yeah.
remember that discussion.
Yeah, it was December 15th or the 1st or 2nd of January, just like 3 days.
Okay. I must have missed that meeting. Yeah, that's all, I'm not a teacher, so my schedule's a little bit more flexible, but I know Blake is pretty busy. Okay, yeah, and I think, December 15th or January 2nd January 2nd, was that it?
I think he said January, yeah, 1st or 2nd, yeah. I mean, no, obviously not the 1st, we're not gonna have it on a holiday, but yeah.
Yeah.
Is talking about what
Yeah.
worked around the teaching, so.
Right, yeah, that, you'd have to rely on Blake for. My schedule is fairly open in December. Yeah, I can neither confirm nor deny, but if Blake said he could do that, then I think that would be.
I can follow back up with Blake if that's what we want to do. So we could, we probably don't want to wait for the city council until December. We probably want to have a virtual meeting before then and have them see what we got to see. I mean, Kate, I'm sorry. I feel like the work that you did was huge, but the visuals are,
Yeah,
they're really
it.
compelling, so.
Yes. Yes, and I agree. I think that it would be wise to do a virtual presentation to City Council and the URA board jointly, just to make sure that the elected official stakeholder group is on board. We can include planning commission in that as well. And if we need to do both, again, I don't want to overcommit Blake, but I think that's probably something that we could find time for. A virtual presentation if it needs to be on separate days. And then doing an in-person community-wide meeting in December or January, I think would work well. So in my mind, the schedule here would be virtual meetings to present these concepts to City Council and or Planning Commission, you know, within the next month or so, just depending on when we can get time with that group. And then issuing those concepts after stakeholder feedback has been incorporated, issuing those via an online survey so that people can review them and provide feedback. And then potentially making some revisions to those plans and then having a community meeting in person in either December or January, to me seems like a sensible timeline.
And one thing we had discussed when we were talking about a community meeting is possibly to pick out a few of, you know, the ones that the URA, like maybe leave out the 5-story
Yes.
idea and just, you know, and that might be something that comes out of the meeting with the city council and the planning board, you know, which of these seem to be the most what we're looking for in Red Lodge, and then presenting them to the community and getting a little feedback there. And one other thing, sorry, this
No,
is a little bit off, back a little ways, but I got to wondering about if you really do want to reach out to some developers soon. I mean, you could really send them what KSU tab developed and say, hey, we did this visioning activity. We're still in the early stages of figuring out exactly what the city wants, but please take a look. And if you have some ideas and you'd like to have further discussion a few months down the line, you know, let us know.
Mhm.
The
I think
only
that's a good
thing I
idea.
would caution about that, the only thing I would caution about that is if there's things in there that are not consistent with our zoning, there's no sense in putting those out to a developer
Right.
ahead of time. So I guess that's just my caution in terms of sending basically what Blake has presented out to developers, because there's gonna be some constraints on that. Or there's gonna have to be some revision in what our current zoning is.
So show of hands here in this room, does anyone here think that city council and or a majority of residents in Red Lodge would support the construction of a 5-story building or two on Broadway? Raise your hand if you do think that there would be community support for that. Yeah, that's what I thought. I think that we just tell Blake, get rid of any concept that is not compliant with existing zoning. I know your building height max is 3 stories. I think we just totally eliminate anything more than 3 stories. It's not going to be hard for them to tweak those concepts because I think that's going to cause more consternation with people than is worth it. And yeah, I think it's just not what anyone asked for. So I think we just completely eliminate those and remove the possibility of upset over those topics.
Yeah, I think that's the feedback that we did get to Blake, but
Okay.
I think we got it to him late enough that he wasn't able to turn that around.
Yeah, and his, with the start of the semester and everything, he
Yeah.
did tell me that he is hoping that he will be able to, let's see. He said he was expecting to be able to look at the concepts and start turning those around next week. But I would say probably end of the month before you get a revised version of those.
That's great. Okay, well,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed that meeting, so don't.
Yeah,
was
no
not aware of
worries.
what you just missed.
Okay, so I I don't know, if maybe I'm not the right person, but I mean, I'd be willing to reach out to Blake and see if we can get, if he's willing to do this virtual presentation to City Council, URA, and hopefully the Planning Board as well. And if it's possible, maybe it's the end of October. It's probably not, well, it's not feasible for September, I don't think, so.
Yeah, probably not at this point.
Does that sound okay to everybody? I can't, you guys there in person, how do you feel about that? No?
Did you guys in person say something?
Yeah, I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
The only thing I heard was in the background of one of you two, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You
I'll
want to restate
repeat.
your question?
Yeah, I'll repeat the question. So I would be willing to reach out to Blake to see if he can do a virtual presentation to City Council, URA, and Planning Board. Probably we're looking at the fourth Tuesday in October. And then if he says yes, then I'll turn to you, Mayor, or somebody. I don't know, maybe it's, I don't know how I would do that, but I'd be willing to try to pull that group, all that large group together for a virtual presentation. The fourth Tuesday in October. Do you agree there with that in person, folks? Let me know with a yay or nay.
The fourth Tuesday that would be the regularly scheduled council meeting.
Oh,
Is
okay.
that, or were you thinking third Tuesday?
Well, you told us, we had the conversation about when would be a good day, and you said the fourth Tuesday is open.
I'm not, yeah, so second and fourth are our regularly scheduled council
Planning
meetings.
board should
Yes.
be able to be.
Second and fourth
Yes.
Tuesday, and then second and fourth
Right.
Wednesdays.
No.
Mayor, we're talking about an hour-ish meeting, so we don't want to have it at the regular
Yeah,
city
so
council
have
meeting.
it
You said,
not have to be second or fourth.
you said the
So,
fourth Tuesday would
third-
work.
Third, I'm sorry, I lied.
Okay,
I'm adopted. I would like me to clarify. Third Tuesday, we would have to bump the resort tax, but that's an option.
okay.
That's one of those weird months where the second, fourth Tuesday is not the same as the second, fourth Wednesdays. And by the way, with the group you're looking for, I would say an alternate Wednesday is fine too, because that's planning board folks that are also gonna be there.
Oh, okay.
So if you're looking at the end of October, if you were to do it the last week of October, I would say, and I'm spitballing here, I'd say the 29th of October, which is a Wednesday. That's probably the week I would look at. Particularly, that would be the day I would look at for the last week of October.
Okay. What about what other date? Let's give 3 days to Blake.
Second, the last week of October, I would look at Thursday, the 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
And the week before that, the middle week in October, I would look at Wednesday, the 15th.
All right.
That give you
Okay.
3 days? Is that what you wanted?
That's perfect. That's perfect. Yes. I'm traveling every one of those days in October, but I'm not the important one. So, okay, I'll reach out to Blake and see if those dates work.
Nothing scheduled there either, if you wanted to add that for good luck. I don't know.
The 16th? Okay,
Thursday, the 16th is also not booked out already.
all right. We got 4. That's awesome. Thank you.
Welcome to my world.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
Okay.
and the intent would be to include the planning board as part of that, with the
Yeah.
city council as part of it.
City Council, Urban Renewal District, and Planning Board. And we'll
And we would
record
hope we
it.
would get a half of both of those bodies.
Yeah, so the idea is to get have
have to
Blake
special meeting.
basically do the presentation that he did for us.
That we'd send out notification.
Except leaving out the 5-story buildings, right?
Right.
Yeah, leaving out the 5-star
Yeah.
buildings. Yep.
Yeah, implementing the feedback we got from this group as a whole last time.
Yeah. He's working on that. Yeah. Okay. And then So if we do that in October, then we can, in the meantime, we can also be, like, I'm not the person to do the connection with the developers, so whoever, maybe we have to wait until we get the report back with the corrections from Blake to get that out to developers, but I feel like, I mean, Myrna, you're nodding, Angela, I hope you're nodding. Who else is
Yeah,
gonna be talking with?
I think just wait, you know, talk to the city council, kind of refine it. You know, let Blake know to just cut those things out, and then I think you're ready to run with it.
Good deal.
Yeah, and I would say in the meantime, maybe start doing research on who to send it to. And then that way, when it's ready to go, you can jump right on it.
Myrna and Angela, are we overstepping by asking you guys to do that? I don't know who else we would have do that.
Well, I know of a couple builders that are probably very much interested, but I mean, doesn't the city have a copy of building permits, builders that have come in to try and build, and, I think that there's that, resource as well. So I think between all of us, I think that we would be able to find some developers that, are interested in helping with something like this.
Mhm.
Good
You could also,
idea.
What's that?
Good idea to look at, who's coming before.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Is there
So
anything
yes,
else?
you have my commitment.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I don't want to I mean, I know you're not looking for stuff to do, but you got plenty to do. So it's
We're good.
great to have partners.
That's right.
Okay. Is there anybody else have any other topics that we need to connect on with for tonight? Is there anything else?
I had to throw out another business, but are you down to that spot yet?
No. But
Okay.
if there's nothing else on this topic, we will get down there.
I will just add a quick comment. So I know I owe you all like a 2-page summary of the community engagement report. August has been extremely hectic, but my goal, and then let's see, my goal is to get that to you no later than the end of next week, the 2-page summary, and I'll get that to you in a formatted, kind of tidy, ready to share with the community. To have the final formatted community engagement report no later than the week after that, so by the 26th. And then one of our deliverables is what's called a resource roadmap, where we identify sources of funding that you can start pursuing to help implement the vision. My goal for that would be, early to mid-October. So within the next month or so, should have all of that information, which will, I can keep that in draft form, and after we talk to city council and the rest of the stakeholders, we can kind of revise that, but should have at least a preliminary draft in the next month or so.
That sounds great. Thank you so much. Okay, if there's any other comments or questions or thoughts on this agenda item number 4, talking about KSU tab stuff. Okay, hearing none, let's go on to old business. Mayor, is that what you had?
I'm going to drop off. Good to see you all.
Okay, thank you all so much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Mine wasn't old business, it was probably other business, because it's new stuff.
Great, okay. Is there any other, there's no old business. We don't have a treasurer's report.
The email on the treasurer's report that Lonnie sent out that had all of the numbers? Or did she just send that to Jeremy?
I mean, I did get it, but I was counting on Jeremy I'm not prepared to talk about that. Do you want to talk about it?
I can just say that we do have the actual and the real numbers, and once it was understood what the ask was, it was pretty easy to accommodate, so.
Okay,
I think it was just getting Jeremy and Lonnie on the same page.
all right, sounds good. Okay. So no treasurer's report. Any correspondence? Written correspondence, petitions, communications from the audience?
Madam Chair, I see none.
Okay, thank you. Okay, other business. Mayor Westwood.
Hi. I want to say I would like to report, I will report, that we heard back from MDOT and the Brewery Hill project did not get selected. However, I had a very good debrief with them and the engineers this morning. We will, resubmit in a couple of years, but one of the other ideas that came up in that is kind of staging that project and doing it in two parts. And basically it would be the top half down to where the crosswalk is, or the bottom half going up until where the crosswalk is. And as we looked at kind of, well, what happens, which one does this the most good by itself without the other one? My thinking, and I talked a little bit about the engineers when we went back and forth with it, but my thinking is the top half would be the least expensive half, and particularly it doesn't have the grade nor the water issues that the lower half has. And it may, one of the ideas that came up is the possibility of doing a portion of that before, rather than waiting until they're providing money for all of it. Like, what if we did the top half? And I'm just throwing that out for URD to consider maybe in the future, whether that's something that we could use URD dollars for, maybe match resort tax to do the top half of that project, which is probably in the scope of like $200,000 or $300,000. And if that would be a benefit. So I'm just throwing that out there as an idea for you guys to bat around, or maybe see what your initial thoughts are. I will do the same with council and kind of get their ideas. We are planning on resubmitting, but several different things they put out. One of which was doing a stage project, in this case, okay, we'll do the small stage and then expect you to come in and pick up for the expensive stage or something. So that might improve our odds as well. That was all.
Thank you. Thanks for that update. That's such a bummer. There must be pretty stiff competition if that project didn't win out. Holy cow.
Well, their grading had two things. One was the benefits column, and then one of the risk. But the way they did the risk is actually, I couldn't see exactly how they did it. They're sending it out to us, but it looks like they start with 100 points and then start taking points away for everything that's a concern. And so one of their concern was the pricing estimate, and our consultant was like, I wish you would have reached out and asked about this, or they were making some assumptions that were not accurate. And that's not the way it's going to work. When you have 27 grants you're going through, you're going to kind of assume it's all there. But some of the others were very, very real. So some of them were like the slope and the proximity of water. Those things are always going to be fighting against us. And so, but one of them was just because we were like, one of the things that they brought up today is we had 12% for engineering or PE, and they really thought it needed to be 25 or 30. And so that meant we hadn't done our homework or something. So that was an interesting piece of feedback, so.
Wow.
So the ones that did win were basically sidewalks through flat fields.
Okay.
Should have brought the, north entrance. It's flat.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for that. Okay, we don't have anything else on the agenda. Is there, and maybe there's other business besides what the mayor brought forward? Anything else?
I just would like to acknowledge Marcy who made it to the end of the meeting here.
Hi, Sarah, I finally
Hey,
made it.
hi, Marcy. Thanks for making it.
Hiding out the range.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. If there's nothing else, I guess with that, I'll adjourn the meeting and we'll watch for emails. Okay, thanks, everybody.
You have to, are you waving
I'm
or
waving.
raising your
I'm
hand?
just waving.
I can see you,
Bye,
yeah.
Sarah.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.
Hi, have a good night.
Sorry.